That's happening globally. Let's talk about how our markets are likely to open, all of the cues and news that you should track as we get into a fresh trading session. We have Mangalam, Vivek and Vahishta joining us now to take us through the trade setup and prep us up for this fresh trading session. Guys, a very good morning to all of you. And Vivek, let me come across to you first. We have been going through the global market setup, but take us through everything we should track today.
Well, absolutely. On the back of some of the hawkish commentary, you actually saw most of the U.S. markets, most of the global markets ending the session in the red, actually giving way to a bit of underperformance after the sharp outperformance we saw. Most of the U.S. markets ended lower. However, they closed reasonably well off the session lows. We're coming closer to the European markets. European markets too, on the back of multiple developments in UK, also ended largely lower in the session. Gold prices stayed, down around 0.7%. Crude prices, however, fell quite significantly. WTI futures fell over 4% in the session yesterday, and Brent futures fell over 3% in the session. Now, when you're coming closer home, some of the important cues to watch out for after the close of Q2, our market is looking for, struggling to find fresh direction. Yesterday, you did see during the weekly expiry a significant sell-off in the last hour of the session, and also one important development that will happen in today's trading session is the announcement of the Sensex as well as the FTSE rejig. So any developments in terms of inclusions and exclusion into the Sensex, and also any fresh inclusions into the FTSE is something that the markets will watch. Asian markets as well as SGX Nifty indicating a mild gap-up opening for the Indian markets.
All right, Vivek, thanks a lot for getting us all of the cues. So looks like the start will be in the green, but let's see how the session moves from there. We also have Vahishta now. Vahishta, take us through some of the individual stocks we should keep on our radar.
Hi Pavitra, good morning. The first is Vedanta, which will be considering and approving the third interim dividend for FY23. Moving on to Bharat Electronics, some positive news, signed a memorandum of understanding with Advanced Weapons and Equipment India Limited, which is a defense PSU, and this is to jointly address the requirements of the Indian defense and the exports market. On similar lines, signed another memorandum of understanding with Armored Vehicles Nigam Limited, which is also a defense PSU, also to address the requirements of the Indian defense and the export markets. Moving on to Ultratech, which has commenced the company's third Birla White wall care putty plant, which is in Rajasthan at a total cost of approximately 187 crores. And Mahindra Life Sciences, which has launched its residential project at Pimpri Chinchwad, which is in Pune. The last stock is Blue Dart, which is on an expansion spree right now with the launch of 15 retail stores across India. Back to you.
All right, Vahishta, thanks a lot for that. We're going to keep these stocks on our radar. Finally, it's over to Mangalam, who's looking at all of the cues from the futures and options space. Hi, Mangalam.
Good morning. So yesterday was the weekly options expiry, and the Nifty actually fell in the last 20 minutes itself on account of that. In fact, the reason why it fell was because, the Nifty, once it fell below that 18,350 mark, those who had written that 18,350 put had to cover their positions, and as a result of which the decline was a little more accelerated. But that is done away with because the expiry is over, and now the SGX Nifty is indicating a positive start for our market. And that was the only drama that we saw, in an otherwise extremely range-bound session for our markets yesterday, and that is likely to continue today as well around that 18,400 mark. Why do I say that? Well, because while the FIs and DIs both buying in the cash market, we had the FIIs sell in index futures to the tune of almost 408 odd crores, and as a result of which their longs are still maintained around the 64-65% mark, with shorts at around 36%. The next week will be important and perhaps a little more volatile than this one. That's primarily because we have the November series expiry next week. And why is it important? Because 18,300 put as well as the 18,300 call, both of them extremely active for next week. 155 rupees on the 18,300 call, and we have the 18,300 put, which has close to around 100 odd rupees in terms of in terms of the premium. So that means about 250 odd rupees in terms of a combined premium for those who are looking to write the 18,300 call and put, which is a straddle put together. So that means the options writers are actually playing for an 18,250 to sort of 18,550 range on the index itself.
All right, that is on the market setup. Mangalam, Vahishta, Vivek, thank you all very much for joining us and taking us through that. But with that, it's time for our first short break on the show. When we come back, sources say that TPG will sell a chunk of its stake in Nykaa. So details on that story when we come back.